Welcome to the next episode of the GSD Golf Podcast. I am your host, AT, and it is my pleasure to be here with you all, the GSD Golf community, talking about the game of golf, talking about different ways that we can help our junior golfers, the parents of junior golfers, and us as amateur golfers just get a little bit better in the game of golf. And we are beyond excited about this episode specifically because we've talked a lot over our journey as we've grown together in the GSD golf community. As a GSD golf community, we've talked a lot about how we can get a little bit better each and every time we go out and play golf. We talked a lot about practice and how to make sure that we're practicing in a way that enhances our ability to execute on the golf course. We talked a lot about the mental game. We've had Ben Esposito on multiple times to talk about the mental game. We talk about the fittings that we get for our clubs and our drivers and our putters and our irons and making sure that we get fit for the right equipment there. But we also talked about with Ben getting fit from a mental perspective and making sure that you bring the right mental approach to the game of golf. We also talked about the equipment. We talked about making sure that our junior golfers are using the right equipment. And specifically, we talk about one of the best balls on the market, Merit Golf, who was on our very last episode of the GSD Golf podcast. A junior golfer developed a golf ball specifically for junior golfers, and Merit Golf is such a proud partner of the GSD Golf community. They're offering all of our listeners at home a special 20% off discount. You can go on their website, meritgolf.co, and you can enter the discount code GSD Golf Pod 20, GSD Golf Pod 20. You get 20% off your order immediately. This is for first time and returning customers. So take advantage of that. Get the right golf balls in your junior golfers' hands so that they're hitting them higher and farther and performing better on the course, just like they want to. And the better they perform on the course, the better their mental perspective is going to be around the game of golf, the more fun they're going to have. And we talked a lot about all of this. We've even talked about the apparel, right? Making sure that you're wearing everything down to the socks, making sure that you have the right socks on. And Hurdle Apparel has provided us with a number of opportunities to fit our junior golfers with Hurdle Apparel socks, and they're the most comfortable, durable, performance-based socks on the market. Check those out. But one of the things that we haven't talked about is nutrition. And when you think about nutrition during the game of golf, it's probably not the first thing that comes to mind. But if you watch those PGA players as they walk around each and every one of their tournaments, they're constantly wearing they're constantly eating, and they're eating as they play. And so nutrition before, during, and after your tournaments is huge, not only for the junior golfers, but for the amateur golfers and for the professional golfers. And with us today on the GSD Golf Podcast is Jordan Gross, the Angry Nutrition Guy. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I'm excited to chat.
So before we get rocking and rolling here, we talk about all things food and healthy eating and the things that student athletes need to do to make sure that they're performing at their peak potentials. What are you so angry about, man? What's going on there?
So funny that you asked. My wife used to hate the name when I first came up with it. She's like, well, you're like the nicest guy I know. You joke around all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm not angry. We're all angry. So like anyone I've ever coached, they're so annoyed. They come so frustrated. Angry and annoyed is really what it is.
Is it the hangry coaching, or is it because I know I get hangry every once in a while, or they're just angry in general?
I think both. I think diets leave us hungry and angry. Like diets don't work. And so creating that lifestyle.
Well, let's jump into that. I mean, I think the one thing that fascinates me is from the GSD golf community, and we focus a lot on our junior golfers, and we focus a lot on educating the parents on how to work with, train with, grow their junior golfers, but also amateur golfers, people like myself that are out there just smashing the ball around. Nutrition plays a part in all of that. And what we have seen is that we constantly talk about the equipment in the game of golf. We constantly talk about the mental state of it. We have a recurring guest that's been on multiple times. We talk a ton about the mental side of it. We haven't yet delved into the world of nutrition. And while we focus on junior golfers, I think this conversation is really geared towards, or I'd like to gear it more towards student athletes, right, that are competing. It could be for everyone, but let's be real when we're talking about the student athlete, we're talking about these kids that are growing into I wish I had somebody like you when I was in college or I was in high school learning how to eat. What are the things that you maybe have heard or have run into that, is an initial conversation with a student athlete that they may say, I'm okay just eating pizza and fries and that kind of stuff?
It's their youth. It's their age.
Yeah.
So youth is wasted on the young, that quote.
Preach, say it.
So, we've all been that 16, 17-year-old boy or gal. And it's like, hey, I'm no pain. Like I'm Superman, I'm Superwoman. It doesn't matter what fuel I put in as long as I can perform. And it's like the good, better, best thing. They might be okay, but there's a level that's higher, a level at best. I think they think they have to give up pizza Fridays and Taco Tuesdays when there's a balance there that you don't. But it's like if you're driving this awesome Hellcat, you want to put right? You could have this awesome car, but the gas isn't right. The fuel's not right. It's not going to go that far. It's going to be blowing up all the time. And
it's interesting you say that, put the fuel in the car, because I remember I remember listening to an athlete one time. It might have been Terrell Owens when he was on the Philadelphia Eagles at one point. He said, my body's a temple and everything, because everybody was trying to say, what's your best Philly cheesesteak? What do you love? And he's like, I don't get this. I'm not this high performing athlete because I'm going around eating cheesesteaks from all the local places, right? Yep. And so I think, to your point, I think it's in moderation. Everything's in moderation with how they do things.
And especially knowing there's an on season and off season, right? So with golf, there is too. Even though you're playing in the off season, like when you're in season, you might want to probably eat a different way. You are a performance athlete when you're on the course and when you're practicing too. Like practice matters too, right?
Practice matters too, absolutely.
And so
let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about, if junior golfers, are heading into a competition. And this, again, I think we need to think about this in big picture. It could be a high school basketball player, male or female. It could be a swimmer. It could be anything. You're heading into a competition. What are some foods? What are some things that student athletes should be thinking about 72 hours, 48 hours before they have a competition? Because it's not just the night before you got a carbo load. It's probably a process, right?
Yeah, it's not living off of Domino's pizza before and saying, you're going to, and also you might be in the bathroom and there's going to be some issues with your stomach. And so if we can put it into an umbrella, complex carbs and lean protein are going to be your friends. So if you're thinking about banana, apple, you can even think rice cakes with some peanut butter for some healthy fats, slower digestion, things like that. Complex carbs like potatoes, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, quinoa, rice is very easily digestible, but you don't just have that in isolation. So you have that with a lean protein with that. And it can be many things. For my vegetarian folks, it could be tofu, it could be seitan. Pescatarian, it could be fish, it could be lean steak, flank with those complex carbohydrates, because that fiber is going to be the fuel. F&F, fiber is going to be the fuel that helps you perform the next day, but also the week leading up to the competition. You want to be doing that, not just the night before. You actually don't want to just carb load the night before. You want to eat even keel throughout the week leading up when you step out there and when you're on the first tee. So you want to start early, often.
And I think that's so key. I think some of the things that I remember growing up is like, okay, the night before you have a competition, the night before you have a sporting event, you need to sit down and eat a bowl of pasta. You need to do something like those old ways of thinking about things are so dated now.
It was like drinking a gallon of milk to get big. It was like when I was young, the seafood diet, seafood need it. Like that was the way. A list of things to do. And it was like a list of restaurants. It was like, where am I going to eat? And so like, luckily in 2024, there's more science now and there's ways to do it.
You talked about some of the foods, right? And so for our young student athletes, the parents of that are most likely preparing some of the meals for these student athletes, it's not boring, right? You can energize these foods to make them a little bit more exciting than just a bland apple, so to speak.
Pepperoni pizza, pasta. I mean, you could make an apple bake, yogurt with cinnamon and apple. You could do these things. One of my go-tos is like before I work out is I'll take some Greek yogurt with cinnamon and an apple, and I'll do rice cake and peanut butter, and I'll break up the rice cake with the peanut butter, and I'll like sprinkle it on top like a granola, like a parfait, a little bit of honey on top of that. And so that's going to give me sustained energy for my workout, but it's also not going to bloat me down and weigh me down. because the kids nowadays with social media, they don't want to be distended and bloated. And like, you know, if there's cameras around and social media,
there's always cameras around nowadays. So everybody's got,
when we were kids, just MySpace back then. And now there's TikTok and everything, right? Like, I mean, Tom did well, but
Tom did well. Tom did very well. And if you don't know Tom, Google it, learn about Tom and MySpace, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah, if you're a geriatric millennial or older, you will understand what that means.
100%. And we learned that, at least I learned through your program, I've heard of the Greek yogurt, the honey, and the peanut butter. My God, it's so good. If you haven't tried it yet, it's phenomenal.
It's 3 ingredients. It's so easy.
That's it.
And so
the kids can make it. Anybody can make it. It's awesome.
You could freeze it 30 minutes. It tastes like froyo, frozen yogurt, and it's
so good.
Like it. Kids like it. You're a testament to that. But it also is going to fuel your performance. And so you can get tasty food with performance. It's not just like eating like a racehorse. You're not a racer. You're not just living off, boiled oats and no flavor.
Yeah.
So you have to have enjoyment with the performance, like optimality and enjoyment.
But it's not just about the food, right? We're talking a lot about the food. And real quick, if you're listening to the GSD Golf Podcast, we're here with the Angry Nutrition Guy. But your Instagram page puts all of us to shame. I wish we could stand there and flex and look as fabulous as you do. So shout out to you for all the work that you put in.
Lighting is amazing. No,
I hear you, man. Good lighting goes a long way, but shout out to you. And real quick, tell our listeners, if they're at home and they want to reach out to you, they want to learn a little bit about your nutrition programs and how you can help them, where can they find you?
So Angry Nutrition Guy on Instagram, that's my handle there. The website's great, theangrynutritionguy.com. Facebook, Jordan Angry Nutrition. Those are the best ways to get in touch.
Excellent.
That I'm a real human.
We're talking a lot about food. And so I'm kind of getting hungry in that aspect, but hydration plays a key in all of this as well. Talk to us about that.
I want to talk about. So like I've coached golfers before, and I have some good friends that play way better than I do. And it's not just water, it's electrolytes. So there is a product that's safe for kids and adults, Ultima, ULTIMA, 0 sugar, 0 calories, but it has all 6 electrolytes. That it's almost like if you think about food being the gasoline in your car, the electrolytes are the oil.
Okay.
The oil. And so Ultima's good. They have, raspberry, peach lemonade, all that. So you mix it with 16 ounces of water right before you get on the field, right before you get on the green. And you could have it intra as well in your water bottle. So that can help, because water's great, but when you lose the water, you lose electrolytes, sodium and potassium specifically.
And those electrolytes, I have to assume, as you're going through, if you're playing in a golf tournament, junior golfers are out there in the summer, they're grinding through this heat, they're losing a ton of that. And if they're just drinking water, they're actually not regaining what they need to keep that energy level.
Yeah, and that's where come, right? And like the muscle weakness and the hamstring pull and all of that. And like your stride isn't as good, your torso rotation is not as good, because it's literally moving your body. It's nerve conduction. And so when you have something like Ultima, there's something called Element. There's a few brands out there. What I would avoid, like Liquid IV, to be honest, it's popular, but it's just sugar water. It's just cane sugar, and it doesn't have all the electrolytes. So it's like there's misinformation of just the electrolyte powder of like good, better, best. So Ultima would be my recommendation. See,
we just learned something. Liquid IV, not trashing their brand. I'm sure they do a lot of great stuff. Yeah, sure. We have it at the house. I'm going to make the switch. We're going to test this out on our junior golfer, see how his performance changes, because we want to make sure he's set up for success. One of the other things I wanted to talk a little bit about is, we talked about the 48 hours, 72 hours before. And for those that have never been to a PGA Tour event, if you ever get a chance to go, the one thing that I noticed for the very first event that I went to is these guys eat the whole time they're out there. It's like they hit the ball, they start eating a snack, and they're walking, talking, and they're eating and hydrating. So talk to us about
movie eating throughout the film. Yes,
exactly. So talk to us about like what can some of these junior golfers or student athletes snack wise eat as they go through, because when you think about some sports, it's an hour long, 2 hours long. Golf, they're out there at least 4 hours, right? And it could be, if there's somebody slow in front of them, they could be out there 4.5, 5 hours. What are some snacks that some of the kids can eat, or parents can help them be prepared to eat? Because I got to tell you, I've been out there, I've seen kids with fruit snacks and roll-ups and Snickers bars. So
and so it's like they just want to have something portable that's easy, but there's a better option. So something like an RX bar which is very, very easy, almost like a mini meal replacement, if you will, because it has protein, it has carbs, it has fats, and it's just, egg whites, almonds, dates, super simple. Just have a floss stick because you're going to get stuff stuck in your teeth for that, because that will happen. But Quest bars are really, really good. Also, there's lean jerky sticks, like they're lower sodium, but we need some sodium anyway. So Chomps jerky sticks, Ostrom, OSTRIM, they're really good to have on hand. They just make your life very, very easy, and they're so small, but they're going to give you fuel to perform. You don't need a 2 Cliff bars, because you don't need that much. So a little bit can go, a long way, and it's something in your pocket that you can carry around. Like also too, and this is kind of different, but a Rice Krispie square. Ooh. It's only 90 calories, 18 grams of carbs, no fat, easily usable energy, because there's no, like, if you're intra on the course, you're on the back 9, you just went through and you need a quick source of energy. You don't want an apple. It's going to take too long to digest, too much fiber. Yeah. The Rice Krispies ready to go. There is no fiber. Those carbs are available right away. And it's hopefully tasty. I think it is,
Well, and that's the one thing I worry about when I think about, at least on our end with Simba, and Simba's my oldest son. We refer to him as Simba. He started playing golf at 2 years old. We put a little lion's head on his club, and I've been calling him Simba ever since. We're going to see Lion King on Sunday. It's a whole thing. Yeah. But we want to make sure that he's snacking the right way throughout. And, I worry about, the early snacking and then the crash. So making sure, so what I'm hearing you saying is you can do it in a way that you don't get the crash on the back 9.
Right, exactly. Because you fueled prior to those other 9 as well with the nutrient dense complex foods as well. It's not like all I ate today was a Rice Krispie square. And so that's where the young people get in trouble, is they're not eating enough whole food meals throughout the days leading up to competition. And if someone is if someone is overly snacking, their meal is probably lacking. Okay. And I did right?
Say if they're overly snacking,
their meals are probably lacking in the sense of their nutrient density in the meals themselves. Like, nothing is going to replace 3 square meals either. Yeah. Snacks are supplementary, right? They supplement the rest of our eating, but there's utility and versatility, especially as an athlete. So almost look at your snacks as like mini meals. And you have your major meals, and then you have your mini meals. But if we call them snacking, then you're thinking about like a bag of Doritos or something.
That's a really good point. And it's interesting because even just today, he went out to play 9 holes, and it was that time right in between traditional dinner time, and so he was kind of in between meals. He made himself a turkey sandwich. We have the healthy options for the turkey sandwich now, but he came home and he was like, "I'm good, I ate." And we were like, no, you actually need to eat a meal. Like, you need to eat that meal.
That's a great point. And then you can assess after that, but at least start with that main meal first, and then that other thing probably is like, I don't need that, or it's not the way that it was before. So the main thing is always going to be the main thing.
Is what Jalen Hurts said it the best. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. But
of course, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Of course, 100%. Let's go back to, so real quick. GSD Golf. We are on with GSD Golf. We are on with the Angry Nutrition Guy. Find him at the angrynutritionguy.com. He has all the socials at that handle. He has a fabulous 10 to 15 minute podcast. It's a regular. You can listen to his podcast, learn a ton of nutrition tips, tricks, and ways to help yourself start to eat a little bit healthy. And we're super thrilled to have you on the program. Teenagers are tough to deal with. And so talk to us about convincing them that eating right will help their performance. Because I know we run into this where you see the kids, they just want the hot dogs. They just want the food that it's easy to grab. And I know sometimes the perception is that making the healthier choices harder because you have to go find it. You have to do these other things. But what can the teenagers do to prep themselves?
Mm-hmm. Don't arrive hungry either. Don't arrive starving. Yeah. It's like the grocery store thing for the parents out there, right? Don't go to the there's some truth to that, right? Because you're going to grab things you don't necessarily need. And so I'll say it best if you're starting tomorrow. And Michael Johnson, who used to be the fastest man in the world.
Fastest man in the world. Gold shoes, I think he ran in one time too, by the way.
In a bunch of movies and like all that stuff in Hollywood. And he's still like, considered one of the fastest of all time. And he literally said it. They asked him, what's your secret to be the best of the best? And he's like, honestly, it all starts with having a list. He's like, when I went to the grocery store a few weeks ago and I forgot my list, not only did I not get what I needed, I bought stuff I didn't need. And I was there forever. I didn't. But then a few weeks later, I went to the same grocery store. Remember my list? I was in and out in 20 minutes. I bought what I was supposed to buy, but I also didn't buy what I wasn't supposed to buy because I knew what that was. So I had my yes, it crowded out nonsense. And so
I like it.
by having your list, having your plan, right? And not arriving with hungry eyes where everything sounds really good. Like, oh, I need that because I'm depleted. You're eating throughout the week, you're eating throughout that day, and you're bringing some of those snacks on hand. Then sure, if you wanted to have a little treat post, but you're not like having the whole farm.
Yeah. And I'd have to assume that making the list to go food shopping is great. And I think one of the things you probably, if I'm hearing you correctly, could do is you could make that list of food snacks, food that you want to take to the course, to the round, make it the day before. So when you're building out your bag, you're checking the box. You're getting, I'm getting my RX bar. I'm getting my jerky sticks. I'm getting my Rice Krispie treats. Phenomenal. I can't believe we're allowed to get them on the
mission approved, just occasional, right? Because in the context, it works. And if you look at your groceries as in that context, not groceries, but supplies, it's all in the same theme. And then you're going to do it. You're like, when I have my supplies, play, and then you're going to have a cause and effect. When I do this, I get this good outcome. And then when you're a young person, anybody, you get addicted to that momentum and that success. You're like, oh, when I don't have my supplies, it doesn't go as well. I cramp up. I don't hit it as far.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't have that system set up on the to get me set for how I was going to perform. And we all want to perform better.
And the last question I have, I know we're coming up on time. I want to make sure we maximize our time with you. A lot of the student athletes, they get into high schools and they start looking for, I don't want to say a cheat code because the kids have the cheat codes in the video games, but they look at the supplements. Are there recommended supplements, or is that something a student athlete, a high school athlete should just stay away from?
If someone, drinks coffee at a 16, 17, it's a great performance agent. You don't need it if you're eating correctly. But if you're someone who gives you a little jolt and it gets you going and you have some coffee or an espresso 30 to 45 minutes before, as long as it doesn't give you the jitters, right? Yeah. And it keeps you like nice, even keel, sure. But honestly, other than that, the sleep is one of the best supplements on the market and it's free.
I got to tell you, my kid takes advantage of the sleep. I mean, waking him up in the mornings, but hey, if he's got to get sleep and he puts in the work, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. It's sleep is big. Hydration is big, getting enough protein, like even thinking about what enough is there. If you're an athlete listening, you want to be getting, it doesn't have to be 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight, but maybe 0.8. So whatever you weigh out there, like try to get in that neighborhood and then break it up throughout the day. And you're going to feel way better if you do that.
I love it. I love it. Again, tell us where listeners at home, viewers at home can find the Angry Nutrition Guy if they want to learn more about your programs.
Oh, where can't you find me? I'm everywhere. I'm like the ghost of Christmas, future, current, all that. So Instagram, Angry Nutrition Guy. The website is theangrynutritionguy.com, and Facebook, Jordan Angry Nutrition. And those are the main channels where you can reach out and ask some questions and give you some help.
Before we let you go, if you could drop one piece of knowledge on a young junior golfer or student athlete that's in their prime, in the high school years, what would that be?
Mindset over skill set.
Ooh, I like that.
Skill set will come, but if you don't have the mindset, especially in this game of golf specifically where it's mental, like the skill set's not going to be enough. And so the taller the building, the deeper the foundation, you get the mindset down, the rest can be practiced over time. And then the sky's the limit.
Thank you for joining the program.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Once again, the Angry Nutrition Guy joining the GSD Golf Podcast to talk about all things nutrition, making sure that we set our junior golfers up to be as healthy and prepared to perform during their tournaments as possible. Give him a follow, give him a like, check out what the Angry Nutrition Guy has to say about healthy eating. Thank you, as always, to the GSD Golf community. And as always, let's get shit done on the course.